Welcome to Season 2, Episode 21 of our monologue series. At the end of the last piece, I left you with a question. If sleep integrates emotional memory by replaying it, what is the structure of that replay? What format does the brain actually use to encode an experience and to update it? There's an answer, and that answer is specific. And it's the most precise lever we have in doing waking work. Every internal experience has two layers. There is the content layer, what the memory is made of. And there is a structural layer, how the memory is coded. Most approaches work on the content. They ask what happened, what it meant, and what the client believes about it. But the content is not what carries the emotional charge. It is the structure. The brain codes every internal representation in sensory parameters. A remembered image has a size, it has a location in the visual field, there's a certain distance, there's a brightness. The image could be in color or black and white, and it could be a movie or a still. A remembered sound has volume, it has a location, it has direction, there's a tonality, and there's a tempo. A felt sensation has a place in the body, a temperature, a weight to it, and a direction of movement relative to that sensation. These parameters are called submodalities. They are the structural code beneath the content. And here's the clinical fact. The charge of a memory is carried by its submodality, not by its content. Take one memory, run it as a large, bright, close, moving image with loud sound. Then run the same memory as a small, dim, distant, still image with the sound turned down. The content did not change. The event is identical, but the emotional charge associated with it will change. The nervous system is not responding to what happened. It is responding to how what happened is currently encoded. Not every submodality matters equally. For any given memory in a given person, one or two submodalities carry most of the charge. We call these drivers. For one client, it may be distance. For another client, it may be brightness. For another client, it is the location of a sound. Find the driver, shift the driver, and the whole representation reorganizes. This is why submodality work is precise rather than general. You are not changing everything. You are changing the one or two parameters that change everything. Now hold that through line. In the previous monologue, I said a traumatic memory is encoded without a timestamp. The system runs it as present, not past. Submodalities are that timestamp. A memory coded as close, vivid, large, moving is coded as now. A memory coded as distant, faded, small, dissociated, and is still coded as then. A memory reconsolidation is the biological window during which an activated memory becomes temporarily unstable and open to modification. Now, when that window is open, part of what changes is the submodality structure. And visual spatial tasking works in part because loading visual spatial working memory degrades the visual submodalities of the activated memory while the memory window is open. Submodalities are not a separate technique. They are the encoding layer that effective memory resolution and visual spatial tasking operate on. And there is one submodality distinction worth naming on its own: association. Seeing a memory through your own eyes, as if you're inside it, versus dissociation, seeing yourself in the image or movie of the memory from the outside. Now that single structural shift changes the entire physiological response to a memory. When you are associated, the body runs the pattern. Dissociated, the body has distance from it. This is not avoidance. It is a controlled change in the encoding structure, used deliberately, under regulation, and as part of the work. And the question I hear constantly, why is the memory so vivid even years later? Because the submodality structure was never updated as a past memory. It is still coded large, bright, close, loud. the way it was encoded under the threat. Vividness is not proof the event is important. It is a readout of unchanged structure. The second question I get, can you change a memory without losing it? Absolutely, 100%, yes. That is exactly what submodality work does. The content stays. The event is still known, and what changes is the structure that was carrying the charge. The client remembers what happened, and the nervous system stops treating it as if it's happening now. A third question I get, why do some memories fade on their own and others stay sharp for decades? Because the ones that fade were recoded by ordinary sleep, by time, by reprocessing into distant, small, still structures. The ones that stay sharp are locked in their original structure and never recoded. The work is to do deliberately what the system failed to do on its own. So if you take one thing from this monologue, take this. A memory has content and it has structure. The content is the story. The structure is the code. The charge lives in the code. Change the code, the size, the distance, the brightness, the location, the volume, and you change what the nervous system does with the memory. This is the most precise lever in doing work. It is the layer effective memory resolution was built to operate on. And this brings us to the next question. If submodalities are sensory code, what directs the code? What instructs the nervous system which structure to run and when? Well, that's language. The words a client uses, the words a practitioner uses, shape the code directly. This is what we want to examine next. So if you want to learn to work at this layer clinically, the certification is where we teach submodality elicitation, driver identification, and how to use structure inside the reconsolidation window. The link is below. If you're interested in discussing that, you can have a one-on-one consultation with me. There's a link for that. So you have two options. But before we do any of that, answer one question for me, please. What would you like to do next now that you understand submodalities as a key lever in creating change? I'll see you in the next monologue.